Conservative life on Mars, because we are living in strange times. Oh my gosh, there's been so much information about David Anthony Burke and Celeste Rivas Hernandez and the state of her body. What I want to do is break down each issue as it has been reported. So first, let's just start off with the condition of the body itself. The first major point of public interest is the condition of Celeste's remains when they were received by the coroner's office. Early reports made no mention of the body being frozen or partially thawed. These claims did not surface until approximately 2 months later. And TMZ is the source of those claims of it being the body being frozen or some type of thawing at the time. And they're claiming that their source in the coroner's office said this. I want to say something very important here. TMZ is not mentioning who their source is, like rightfully so, otherwise that person would be fired. But then they're also not saying where exactly does this person work at and how would they know. So technically, the person who is the source could be the janitor, which we kind of know it's not, but it could be the janitor, it could be an orderly, it could be a secretary who's just reading the newspaper there. So with this, when you have one institution kind of debunking another institution, you really have to figure out who would know the most facts, and that would be LAPD, obviously. So, but TMZ is doubling down on what their source has said, because I'm assuming in previous cases this particular source was very, very reliable. But if we go back at the time, back in September, when this body was discovered, nothing was mentioned about this body being frozen. I think that would be something they would have said at the time. You know, this body was frozen. According to the Los Angeles Times, September 27th edition, of course this year, Celeste weighed at about 220 pounds, yet the remains discovered or recovered were about 71 pounds. Contained in a bag with the tattoo shush still on her, I think her index finger on her right hand, and this was still identifiable and visible despite everybody saying and significant heavily decomposition. This tattoo was still very visible. Officials have described again the remains as being heavily decomposed. Now, compiling things together with KTLA 5, they reported that the bag discovered at the tow yard contained Celeste's head and torso. It's very important because this is going to come in as her being dismembered. So as far as the dismembering goes, maybe it is just her arms and legs that are dismembered, which have been reported to be completely butchered by TMZ's source. But what was reported at the very beginning of this, before this train just railed off the tracks, is that her head and torso were together. There was no mention of the body being decapitated at this time. And again, this is with a KTLA 5. So, I mean, this is really interesting how TMZ is getting this source, is telling them all this stuff, which I believe this should have been taken care of at the very beginning, but yet it wasn't mentioned. It could have been said that, well, they're trying to keep certain things out of the press for good reasons. I understand that, but now, because this has just gone off the tracks, to me it's kind of Johnny come lately with information to try to keep this in the public eye, because this is such a sad story and state of affairs right now. Now, given that the average September temperature here in lovely Los Angeles, is normally 90 degrees, the body left in the trunk would have undergone extreme rapid decomposition. In the high heat, a corpse often progresses into a gelatinous liquefied state due to the breakdown of the fat and the body's high water content. Most of the liquid either would have evaporated or drained off in the decomposition. Now, what's interesting is no one has mentioned what was the state of the inside of the car, which would probably give away to was this waterlogged or not. Again, when you lose a lot of water content, this could have also, and your body has gone to a gelatinous state, this can also compensate for that waterlogged description that was given. So I don't necessarily think it was frozen just yet or being thawed out. It could have been this gelatinous thing that happens when you have a body that's decomposing in an absorbent amount of heat. Now, on a missing poster of Celeste, it's mentioned that she is 120 pounds. I have to take some disagreement with that. If you look at her pictures and you look how slender her body is, and she's 14 years of age, I think she's either closer to 110, if not less. She doesn't look like she would be 120 pounds, especially only being at the most 5'3". There are some estimates saying that she's 5'1". So I mean, this is just really a mess because no one really actually saw her in the 2025 year here. So she could have lost more weight, hence why she is 71 pounds. So I mean, this just adds to the mystery. Another point discussed is that E! News reported that her body was released to the family for burial. Consider how much decomposed the remains reportedly were. It is unclear whether the funeral was or how was her body taken care of at the funeral home. I'm quite surprised no one didn't try to talk to the funeral home to clarify exactly how her body looked when they received the body. TMZ says they have all these sources all over the place. Evidently, the one place they don't have them at is at a funeral home. So, I mean, this is something else that no one is really talking about. Okay, conservative life on Mars, because we are living in strange times. There is nothing weirder and stranger and more diabolical than what we're hearing right now with this case. Let me know what you think with this, and please stay tuned. I have a second part coming up soon.